Hello, neurodivergents. On this video, we're going to talk about annual goals. They're like New Year's resolutions, but for your corporate job. Now, goals are really important because goals can determine whether or not you get a good raise, get a promotion. There's a lot of things that go into goals. Sometimes they can feel like busy work. Other times for neurodivergent brains, they can feel like something that we get really excited about at the beginning of the year when we're talking with our boss or we're talking with our colleagues about things we want to do this year in our job. It can be opportunities for new projects we want to take on, new things we want to learn. But when we set those goals in like February, by the time we get around to December and we have to do the annual self-assessment and how we did on those goals, sometimes we can lose our steam, forget what we wanted to do, or completely abandon those things that we get excited about. We're going to go over how to work on those annual goals so that you can make them last the whole year and they can actually be an advantage for you in your corporate job as opposed to just being something you have to do. I'm Brett, the AuDHD Boss. I have over 15 years of leadership training and experience, and I'm also an ADHD and autistic person, AuDHD. And on this channel, I work to help other neurodivergents in their corporate jobs, and if possible, get some folks to take on more leadership opportunities so that we can grow more neurodivergents at work. Not everything I say in these videos will be perfect for you, but take what works and leave the rest. If you have a topic you want to know more about, let me know in the comments or shoot me a note on Instagram. Okay, so annual goals are one of those things that HR tends to remind us about. Now, in a perfect world, HR would like for us to think about annual goals as a thing that we take on very thoughtfully, opportunities to grow within our role, things that we can learn, things that we can grow, all kinds of opportunities for that we can get better at our job. It's a perfect idea for what they should be, and frankly, a better idea than New Year's resolutions. The tricky thing is a lot of us range from how we approach our goals. Some of us think about that as it's just one more thing. Other people get really excited about doing it, but then we lose our steam and we lose track of what we have to do. Or a lot of us think, well, I'm really overwhelmed already. I can't take on one more thing. How am I going to take on goals? That's the thing we're going to specifically hone in on today. How do we take advantage of setting goals around the things that we are already planning to do, things that are expected of us, or things that we want to do in case we want to grow in our career, or just grow something that we actually want to learn, but take advantage of that with the things that we're already doing. So let's break it down. In many corporate jobs, you're going to hear different terms around goals. Don't let the language trip you up. For the most part, goals are goals, and we all have to set them if we work at a corporate job. The thing you want to know about, though, is depending on where you are in your job, does your boss or your department or your company or your division, do they have separate goals that they are set to do that then work their way down to you? Is there anything that you have to do in your goals that in corporate terms feed up to another level of goals? You do want to check that off your list before you set your goals because you just want to know what the parameters are around that. That's going to help build some foundation and some structure around how you set your goals. The other thing about goals, sometimes goals can present rejection-sensitive dysphoria because they're also connected to our annual review. Goals are the things that most of the time our annual review is going to be set by. So if you're concerned about feedback you're going to get from your boss, a good way to get around that is to just do regular self-assessments about where you're at with those things and the projects that you're doing. We'll dig into that in just a minute, but just something to highlight as we go through this conversation. Be prepared for feedback. That's always one of the things. You want to manage your expectations around the kind of feedback you're going to get around your goals. Know that in the annual review, and I'll do a separate video just on annual reviews and goals, but know that in your annual review, you should expect to get feedback. So just know going into those conversations what you want to say around that feedback and the kind of feedback you might get in response. So before we start this year's goals, the best place to begin is actually to go back and look at last year's goals. Take a moment and reflect. Just sit down. You don't have to actually look at the actual goals themselves. You can if you want. But what I would recommend is actually sit down and think through everything you did in the last year. Just grab a notebook, grab a pen, or sit down and type out. Just take a few minutes, do whatever you got to do to just process everything you did last year. No matter how big, no matter how small, just make a list, everything that you did in the last year. Even if there's things you were going to do that you didn't get to, that's okay too. Make a separate list for that and just put them off to the side for a minute. Don't let the perfection of the goal or the perfection of what you did get in the way. Just make the free list, do everything, just jot it all down. There are no wrong answers here. This is just a list of things that you did. I actually go through my calendar and I look at every meeting, every project, everything that I sat in on. If going through your calendar can work, that's a piece of advice that helps for me. Once we have our list, take a minute, breathe, take a moment, and look through the list. What comes up for you? Evaluate all the different things on your list. What stands out for you? Was there anything that you really liked? Was there anything that you got really excited about? Maybe something you want to revisit? Was there anything that you absolutely hated that you do not want to go back to and do again? Take a few small notes on why or why not you liked some of these things and maybe why you didn't like some of the other things. Sometimes we don't like something because we didn't have enough knowledge or experience or know how to do that thing, but we might want to know more about that thing, and so that could be an opportunity for training or new learning. Other times it just doesn't fit, it just doesn't work for our job, and we would rather just not ever do that thing again, and that's okay too. But maybe there's something in here that we do like. Maybe there's something that we were really good at or something we wanted to try again. Those are the things we want to kind of capture and bring into our annual review, but also think about those as ways in for the new year's goals that we might set for ourselves. Now save those notes. That's going to come in handy for the annual review. And again, we'll do a separate video on just the conversation for your annual review. Now, as you look at this list, are there any themes that jump out to you? Anything consistent that's showing up to you? Is there anything here that would be helpful to repeat or to pull forward into this year's goals? Is there anything on this list that you can recognize as something you're going to continue to do this year, maybe more of it, maybe differently, maybe in a new way? Or, and here's the critical part, are there any things that you have to do this year, any projects coming up, any things that you're working on, where you can look at the things that you have to do coming up this year or things that you know are coming towards you, that you can take elements of the goals and bring them into the new year, or things that you can apply, ideas, concepts, training, learning, techniques, anything that you can apply to the projects that you have coming up in the new year. Hold on to that, see if you can flesh that out, and that's going to be your way in to think about how can I apply this thing that I want to do to this thing that I have to do. Now, sometimes we might look at our goals from the previous year and think, well, I really wanted to do that thing, but, ADHD, or there were other priorities that my boss told me I had to stop doing, and now I had to do this thing over here. Again, let's revisit those things. Are there ways to repeat those again? And if there are the ways that we can make those things fit into the priorities we have to do this year? Or was there anything that just sparked an interest that you just couldn't get to, that you really want to get to this year? When we find those intersections between the things that we have to do and the things that we want to do, that's where we can kind of get on top of overwhelm. We can kind of get ahead of overwhelm by figuring out those ways to make those connections. It also makes it easier to do those things we may not want to do if we can find a way in with something we do want to do or something that's going to help us towards our goal. This is also a really good place to think about career growth. You don't have to, but if you're thinking about ways that you want to grow within your role, grow within your company, you're looking for a promotion, or you're looking to just move to an entirely different thing, even to a new job, this is an opportunity to think long-term about a year out from now for how you can take advantage of these goals to grow in the following year or later in the year. And it's okay if you don't want to do that. It's okay if you don't want to grow. It's okay if you want to stay in the position and you're happy where you are and you're doing something that makes you happy. That's okay too. There's a common thing called what's expected of me at work. Gallup surveys tends to use this question a lot for their annual workplace satisfaction. The key thing about this question is it can be a little tricky to answer sometimes, but it's also a really good question to have during your annual goal setting process or even your annual review with your boss. It's always good to reset with your boss to make sure that as the years change, as your role changes, as your boss changes, as the world changes, is what is expected of me at work this year changed over last year or previous years? Have I moved far away from my job description? Is this an opportunity to look at a new role, a new job description, or to reevaluate what my boss's expectation of me is and what my expectation of me is? Now, there's core things, like if I'm hiring a writer, they're going to write. But in the nuance of those things, those change. The things change over the years as we continue to work together. So it's good to have those conversations. You should really never be surprised in your annual review. If you're having regular check-ins with your boss, those conversations should be happening. If you're not having regular check-ins with your boss, I strongly encourage you regular check-ins with your boss. boss. Those regular check-ins are where you can talk about your goals and projects, but it's also an opportunity to talk about career growth and things that you want to do within your role, as well as finding out what they have and expect for you. But in your annual review, this is also an opportunity to revisit all of that and what's expected of you. One other thing about those conversations with your annual review or your goal-setting conversations, it's okay to ask if there's any funding or finance or budget available to you that you can get a class or take any additional learning so that you can grow that thing. Usually if there's funding involved to help you learn a new skill or learn a new thing or do some kind of development, that helps encourage you and your boss within that goal. And if you're trying to take on some new stuff or a lot of new stuff, or if you're being asked to take on new stuff, how can we have a conversation with our boss about what am I going to stop doing so that I can go do this? Or maybe we're going to ask that question of ourselves. What will I stop doing in order to do this new thing? Your boss probably isn't thinking about you the same way that you're assuming they're thinking about you, meaning that you always have to be your own advocate. No matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what job you're in, no matter where you sit in the company, you always need to be your own advocate. So don't hesitate to bring these things up and say what you need, express your need, and what your boundaries are. Sometimes through these conversations, we find out if this is the right workplace for us. We may not always like the answer, but it may show us what we need to know. Again, this is just the tip of the iceberg with the goals and the annual review. I'm going to do a whole other video about the annual review conversation, so be sure to stick around for that. I'm Brett, the AuDHD Boss. This is the AuDHD Boss YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like our videos, comment below topics that you want to see. Do you have any comments or thoughts about what you do during your annual reviews or what advice you might give to somebody else? Let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram as well. But check out everything that we've got to offer and let us know if you have any questions or tips of your own.